I am X. This is Izzy, and we talk sports. All right, man, let's jump right into it. Uh, NFL had a crazy free agency last week. We've seen a lot of upgrades and crazy moves and a lot of spending with some weird contracts with voided years. But let's start here with the Patriots. I think the Patriots really they dove in deep. They dove in quick. Something that we've never seen before. Bill Belichick spending this much money in free agency. So on day one, $232 million. Day one, I think it wasn't even like 1 o'clock. A free agency opened at 12. It wasn't even 1 o'clock yet, and the signings just were right back to back. What do you think about some of these signings, man?
I gotta tell you, dude, I was so excited to just see the Patriots dig deep on some of these contracts and spend money like that. It has been so long since I've seen that, and it was just so exciting to see these kind of moves. But also, you got to think about the back story to it, the background to it. Is there like a hidden intention as to why he just all of a sudden decided, hey, let's just throw down money this year, go all out, and try and do the best we can with it. Because everyone knows Belichick is he's very he's very frugal when it comes to spending big money on players. It doesn't matter if you're Tom Brady. It doesn't matter if you're Rob Gronkowski. If you're gonna sit here and try and ask for a big contract, he's not gonna pay you
You know what?
because it's
I think the biggest thing here is why he did this. The drafts haven't been great,
mhm.
and we have holes in a lot of areas. We look at tight end last year. Asiasi, Keen, they really didn't develop into what we thought they were going to be. There was injuries, and Asiasi was out for
Izzo.
a little bit. I mean, Izzo is, Izzo, but he's not one of those main kind of targets that you want in your offense, right? So when you look
Mhm.
at the drafts, these previous drafts, I think Bill whiffed on a bunch. I think the linebackers are young with Uche and Winovich, showing promise, but they're young. And then the opt outs that they had, I think he was like, "Hey, listen, we're gonna fix this now. We have the cap room now. We don't have a big, quarterback that is taking a lot of money and chunk of change." And they, with the way that they signed Cam Newton, it was a friendly deal. So they had the moves to fix the defense and the offense with the holes in free agency, and they capitalized on it. One thing that I see here just standing out to me, you look at Johnu Smith at 4 years, 50 million. Hunter Henry 3 years at 37.5 million. It's spending big on the tight end. I think what it looks like is Bill is going back to that 12 personnel that we won a lot of games with. So
Mhm.
I think those are huge
And
moves.
yeah, and one of the things that really got me excited about the two moves that could just potentially be very critical to building this offense the way that it needs to be built is when they picked up Johnu Smith and Hunter Henry.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of things that said Hunter Henry is overrated, this and that. But what happens when you have him with another good tight end on a double tight end set? I mean, you got you got linebackers that now will have to cover two different tight ends who are like I want to say what five in the league for tight ends, top five, top 10,
Yeah, for sure.
right? So it was just exciting because it's going right back to that nostalgia of the Gronk and the Aaron Hernandez,
Yeah.
for the Patriots. It's almost like you're seeing that again,
Right.
in its own way.
Right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's
Um,
definitely in its own way because when you look at Gronk and Chico, it was just a little different in where Hernandez was he was a move tight end where you could put him, at fullback or halfback and put him at receiver, and he was a move tight end. And Johnu Smith is that guy, but Johnu Smith he can block. And one thing
mhm.
about Aaron was that he wasn't a great blocker. Gronk was the blocker, and then he'll work the seam. We're going to see a lot of different looks, but in the red zone where the Patriots were absolutely terrible last season, they're going to have
Mhm.
some big targets in the red zone. So I definitely love those big moves there. I'm also looking at Nelson Aguilar, 2 years, $26 million. Do you think that was an overpay?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay, so I think I think Nelson Aguilar was statistically did well last year, right? Um, but an overpay, yeah, probably.
You think it was an
I think
overpay?
so. Yeah, I think so.
I think
I
when you
gotta
you
say.
you you dive in feet first in free agency, you're going to pay a little bit more. I think everybody overpays in free agency when you're getting the top guys first. And he's not a top
Mhm.
receiver, but I mean, he takes the top off the defense. He had a great season last year in Las Vegas. It's a 2 year deal. I don't see it much as an overpay. I think in dollars, okay, fine, but we had the space to do it. And we really needed that speed and route running because he has a nice route tree. So I think
Yeah.
New England made a great move there. Um,
For
but
the amount of money, but I personally think it's gonna be good. It's good to have him because the Patriots needed somebody over the top. Nelson Aguilar is just known for that. He's known for not only being able to make a play in that midfield, but also on the long routes. And statistically, last year he did very well. Um, but as far as the 2 year, 26 mil, I think honestly it could have been just a little bit less than that. But I'm not disregarding that choice that they made to pick up Nelson Aguilar. I agree with it because that's what they need on their offense. Now, Cam Newton's coming. Cam Newton came back, so Cam Newton now this year there shouldn't be a reason as to why Cam Newton can't throw the way that he wants to throw.
absolutely.
Can't say that the receivers aren't fast enough. You can't say that the receivers route trees are terrible. You can't say any of that now. You got big bodies. You got Kendrick Bourne now. You got Nelson Aguilar. Um, you got Julian Edelman. You got all these great route runners now. There shouldn't be a problem. You know what I mean? Unless he does the same exact thing that he did last year, which was hesitate so much in the pocket. Um, and I hope that he's able to refine that this year and come back better. 'Cause I'll tell you what, nothing's gonna stop Belichick from replacing Cam just because he brought him in. Nothing's
Right.
gonna stop him from that. If he sees somebody's better, and if Stidham steps up to the plate and he says, "No, that's my spot," then it is what it is. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, I
But
agree. I don't think there's any excuse for Cam Newton now, and not that he had any excuses last year. I just think there's no excuse for anyone to say, "All right, they don't have an offense, and this is why Cam Newton is looking like this." So there's no excuse for that now. I think on offense we have our plan. Two tight ends set. You got 12 personnel. You didn't need a Kenny Galladay. You didn't need a Juju Smith-Schuster when you're going to run your offense through the tight ends and the running
mhm,
game, because the running game is going to be stout. I mean, we you lose out on Joe Tooney. He goes over to
mhm,
Kansas City. Kansas City desperately needed some help on the O line, but you bring back David Andrews. You have depth in Karras, right? You bring back Trent Brown in the trade. This offensive line is rebuilt, and it is probably one of the top five O lines in the NFL. So Cam Newton's going to have time to throw the ball, but they're going to be bullying. He really built this from the inside out, so they're really going to be bullying in the run game, and Cam Newton's legs is going to be a big part of it. So
mhm.
very very interesting to see that. I'm very happy to see New England going in the right direction after that one off year. Now looking at these moves on defense, Matthew Judon, man, and bringing back Kyle Van Noy, I think that was probably the best deal in the offseason so far is bringing back Van Noy. I mean, you got him on a cheap
Bravo.
deal. You let him go down to Miami, right? You get a fourth round compensation pick for him, and then you bring him back the next year on a cheap, team friendly deal. And he's going to be great next to
Mhm,
Judon and Dante Hightower. That
mhm.
linebacking core is going to be awesome with the depth with Winovich and Uche. Love the
Yep,
move.
yep.
Love
I
the move.
agree. I
Jalen
agree.
Mills. Jalen Mills. What do you think about that Jalen Mills move?
Bro, everything on defense. I loved every single move on defense. It just made so much sense. And it was like Belichick already knew a year to 2 years ago what he was going to be doing.
Yeah.
It's like he already knew this. He literally just took out a scrapbook and said, "All right, 2022 or 2021. Here we go. This is exactly what I said is going to happen, and these are the moves we're going to make. Here you go." So it was just, I love it. The Trent Brown, I love Kyle Van Noy bringing him back for the 2 years on a cheap deal, 13.2 million, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great. It's a great deal.
13.2 million. Awesome. Um, Jalen Mills, he's he's nasty, man.
He's
He
versatile, man.
he's
He's versatile.
yeah, dude.
Yep.
Yeah, and he keeps up with the best of them. That's what I like about him.
Yep.
He keeps up with the best. Um,
Well, with Chung
for me,
retiring,
yeah,
him being versatile, being able to play safety, huge, huge. I think
yeah,
that's a
and
big
on
deal.
top of that, it was smart too because um, Patrick Chung retiring, and Patrick Chung was the same exact way. Super. Again, you said it. He was super versatile. He played to the ball. Never really let anyone get by him. And the best part that I love about it is that he was with the Ravens, bro. That Ravens defense was phenomenal. Was that him? No, no, no. I'm sorry.
That was
Um,
Judon. You talking about
who
Jalen
was he with
Mills?
last year?
The
That's
Eagles.
for Judon.
So Jalen
Judon,
Mills
Judon,
with the
Judon.
Eagles.
Eagles. That's what it was. My bad.
Yeah. Um,
But
man, I still think Bear. All these moves, great. I still think New England needs help interior defense. Lawrence Guy went to go ahead and visit Miami. He's still out there. You bring in Devon Gottschall for as a nose tackle for that interior defensive line. But when I look at some of the names out there that are still free agents, we could possibly make a move there as well, unless he's going into the draft or using some of the depth they got. But I still think that's an area where New England can make another move at and running back. I think they need a
mhm.
third down running back. They have a good 1-2 punch in Damian Harris and Sony Michelle, but I also think they need a third down running back. And Leonard Fournette's still out there. That's a good
Yeah,
pickup right there as well. So it's interesting to see. I mean, James White hasn't moved on yet. He's taken a few calls,
mhm.
but you have J.J. Taylor back there, who I think is very underrated when he had his chances. I think he averaged about 4 yards a carry, which was ridiculous. He did a very good job as a rookie, undrafted. So third down running back for me and interior defense.
Yeah.
Fill some
So
holes.
I wanted to switch it up a little bit. I wanted to switch gears real quick. Let's talk about some other free agency moves besides just the Pats. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to hear your thought process on this, would be the Bud contract from Tennessee. What do you how do you feel about that move for Tennessee? You think that's a big move? Um, but what's your thoughts?
You know, Clowney didn't really work out. I think Clowney got hurt a little bit, and he didn't really work out. Bud is good. He's a good player, man. 85 million. I think that's what the contract was. I'm sure glad that New England signed Judon earlier, uh, just because Bud Dupree's contract was pretty expensive. I know Bud has some injury concerns as well. He's a great player. For Tennessee, I think it's going to help their defense for sure. I think it's going to help their defense for sure. It's
Mhm.
going to be even better. So I think whether they overpaid or not for Bud Dupree, I think it's a good move for Tennessee for sure.
I agree, especially seeing as I believe the Titans are not re-signing um, Malcolm Ball.
Yeah, they actually
They're
released him.
not. Yeah, they released him, so they're not gonna try to give him a contract. So there is some holes in the Titans defense um, right now. But what do you think? And now just hear me out here. What do you think about Jadavion Clown possibly going to the Steelers? What do you think? What's your thoughts on that? Because Bud Dupree's gone, and you know, obviously the next best, so to speak, would be Jadavion Clowney.
It depends on what kind of deal Clowney wants to take. I mean, they're also different players, so they kind of play differently as to fit the scheme. But it would have to be a 1 year deal, maybe a prove a deal, maybe 2 years, team friendly, for Clowney to go to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh likes to build in the draft. One thing they don't do is spend a lot of cash on free
Mm-hmm.
agents. I mean, if they do need to, they will, but not really big. I mean, you go back to looking at the receivers that they had in the past and they didn't pay. It's one thing that you know they draft well. So it'd be
Mm-hmm.
interesting. It'd be an interesting move, but you add Clowney into that defense. That defense is good. One thing about the Steelers last year, their defense was stout, and I think is only upside if you add a player like Clowney to that defense for sure. It has to be money. I think contract wise, it's got to be right.
I agree. I agree. Um, One of the things also, so again, I'm not trying to like jump around or
Wait,
anything
hold on.
like that,
Since we're
but
on the
I'm just.
Steelers aspect, let me ask you this: Juju Smith-Schuster had offers on the table from several other teams, right? So he had offers from the Ravens and Kansas City,
Mhm.
$8 million 1 year deals, and then he had a 1 year deal. I think it was up to 9 mil with Kansas City, and he goes back to Pittsburgh on a 1 year deal worth 8 million. So he doesn't get his big payday, doesn't get multi years, and he could be holding out for that next cap to rise because of the new TV deal, right? So he could be
Mhm.
just waiting for a bigger deal and goes back to Pittsburgh because that's where his home is. He loves Pittsburgh. Um, but very interesting, huh? I mean, you got the Ravens
Mhm.
playoff team.
Yep.
You got Kansas City back-to-back Super Bowl appearances. Get to play with Patty Mahomes. Lamar Jackson is dynamic on the ground, and he chooses to go back to Pittsburgh. And Big Ben did not have a great season last season. It's very interesting.
Yeah. A few things that I want to say about that. All right. So Juju Smith going back to the Steelers. Obviously, that's a very. It's not. I want to say it's not common. Reason being is you got a bunch of teams that are willing to pay you out. And it's really what a lot of people look at. A lot of these players look at is the payout, what they're going to get, and how their future is going to be on that team. And one of the things with the Steelers is I think this decision was not only just a personal decision because again that's his home, um, but I also think that the Steelers, yes, Ben Roethlisberger did not have that great of a year last year, but they were still in the playoffs. They were still in the playoffs. They still have a chance. They still have a shot, and I think that's what he's looking at. He wants his redemption. Ever since Claypool came into the picture, he hasn't been getting as many touches because Claypool's been on the money, bro. He catches everything. He's on it, and it kind of put Juju on the back burner. And it, and it's funny because it almost seems like that happened to Antonio Brown when Juju came in. Antonio Brown was the main like he was getting receptions after receptions after receptions. Then Juju came in, and that was it.
Well,
And you
I
don't hear
think I
that much
think
of
that's the
Antonio
only
Brown.
reason why that Juju really got fed was because that Antonio Brown was in double triple coverage. So
Yeah.
Juju was getting fed, and when he got asked to be the guy last year, that's what he was. He was the number one receiver, and Claypool was feasting. Juju didn't really perform well.
Nope.
It wasn't the same numbers. So when he
Mm-hmm.
asked to be the guy, the numbers dipped. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, Juju, He is a number two. He should get paid
Yeah,
like a number two. He's a number two receiver. He's definitely not a number one in my eyes. And I think he's holding out for that deal. I don't understand why you would want to play with Patty Mahomes and then try to
mhm,
cash in after that because you're going to have a
mhm,
great season. They spread the ball around over there, but with Patty Mahomes, your numbers are going to go up for sure because
mhm.
they're not going to be able to. They're not going to double cover him. They have Tyreek Hill. He's going to see a lot of touches like you saw with Antonio Brown.
Yep.
Maybe he wants to be a Steeler for life. So I'll just leave it at that. But
Like I said,
let's
I think it's a personal reason.
yeah, it could be. It could be. I'm gonna move over to their rival in the Cleveland Browns. And wow, Cleveland. I mean, they've made nice upgrades this offseason, especially to that defense. And you know what? I'm happy to see it. Though that fan base deserves it. They made some great moves. You look at John Johnson, 3 years. Troy Hill. Troy Hill. I'm telling you, that is a great move. He's a great cornerback. They're going to utilize him. Great move.
Mhm.
4 years, 24 million. What a bargain for Hill. I
That's
mean,
what they needed. That's
yeah,
what they needed.
they
Big
take they
time.
take they take a flyer on Tack McKinley. He came out the
Mhm.
draft, and uh, there was upside there, and really didn't pan out to what everyone thought he was going to be. So they take a flyer on him. They bring back Rashard Higgins on a 1 year deal, and then Malik Jackson on a 1 year, $4.5 million deal. The Browns are making huge moves for this defense to compete for that division. And I'll tell you what,
Mhm.
man, playoffs last year, Browns didn't look bad.
No, it
Browns didn't
didn't.
look bad. So they add this to that defense. It's gonna be interesting.
I agree. That's what I'm saying. I said it before. I said it all last year. I said, watch out for the Browns. Just wait. That offense is clicking. That offense is clicking. It's going great. I believe it was Andy Dalton. They just picked him up, I believe.
The Bears.
Uh, oh, the Bears did. I'm sorry.
The Bears.
I'm drawing a blank. I'm sorry. I'm tired.
Yeah, the Bears picked them
having
up.
having having kids don't help.
Yeah, yeah, I'm
Uh,
not there
um,
yet.
yeah, no, you don't be there yet. um, but yeah, so they have been making moves on defense, and it makes sense. Last year on offense, they were clicking, they were doing everything they needed to do, and during the playoffs, their defense just crapped the bed. It happened. It sucks, but again, I believe that offense is doing everything that they can with Baker Mayfield in that backfield. He's making things happen, um, and you got Odell Beckham
Coming back
there. You got
healthy.
coming back. Yep, healthy. And who else
Um,
are some of the
I mean, you got Chubb at running back. That's going to be,
yeah.
you know, still got Kareem Hunt, right?
Yep.
Jarvis Landry.
Hmm.
So they still have weapons there on offense, and stacking up on defense is really going to help this team get over that hump and push the Ravens to the side. They're
Yeah.
going to give them a run for the money in Pittsburgh. I mean, it's a three-headed monster over there in the AFC North. I'll tell you that right now. And
Yeah, it's scary. It's scary that AFC division is scary because three of them made it to the playoffs. I believe it was last year. Yeah, I think it was all three of them, right?
the Steelers won
Or
the
the Ravens.
division.
The Ravens missed it out.
The Ravens were two, Browns were three, or Browns were two and Ravens were three. Browns, they all three of them made it. All
Yeah,
three
all
of them made
three
it.
of them made it to the playoffs last year. That's scary. That's
Yeah,
super scary because it's what I believe is it's little things that need to be changed for every single one of those teams that can make a huge difference. And that's what they're all doing. And that's the scariest part is the Browns are smart. They're not sitting here spending big money on receivers. They're not sitting here spending big money on tight ends or any of that. They're spending the money where they need it, which was that defense last year.
yeah.
And that's what gave up the most points during that playoff game. And they were like, I think they just realized that we need some big bodies back there, some big fast bodies. Um,
I think,
especially picking up Troy Hill for that cheap.
yeah, he's gonna be great. I'm telling you.
4 years, 24 million, bro, for
Yeah,
that cheap.
yeah, he's gonna be great there. He's gonna and they already have some good corners. They got Greedy Williams as well. So I mean, that defense, they're building it right, and it's gonna be very interesting. John Johnson joins those safeties as well. I mean, I love to see it. Browns have been on the fringe for a little bit here. Um, Baker Mayfield was shaky for a little bit and really came back into his own last year.
Mhm.
So it's good to see the Browns doing that, but it's good to see another team that hasn't made the playoffs in years. And I mean, they've been pretty bad. We love to hate them, but the Jets have made some nice small moves. I'll tell you that right now. I like the moves that they made.
Mhm.
They made some small moves, but they spread their money a little bit there wisely. And I like what the Jets did, man. I mean, Corey Davis on a 3-year deal. Corey Davis
Mhm.
was like a top 5 pick for Tennessee and really didn't pan out to be that top 5 pick, but he's still a big body in good hands. Carl Lawson
Mhm.
I think, was the best pick the best signing that they had at 3 years, 45 million. The guy's disruptive. Great season last year with the Bengals. Um, I like him. I like him there. That was a great pickup. Gerard Davis, a 1 year, $7 million deal. I think that he's going to outplay that deal. $7 million for Gerard Davis is it's a great deal. You bring in Lamarcus Joyner on 4.5 million, like that move. I mean, they got rid of Jamal Adams. You got to get some help at safety somewhere, right? Uh,
Yeah, you're right.
Keelan Cole, Keelan Cole had some flashes there, and he has great, great, great hands. So you add them into that mix of wide receivers because Darnold needs some help. Darnold definitely needs some help on offense. So bringing in Corey Davis and Keelan Cole, they were good moves. I think they didn't overpay anyone. I think they did some great, great moves there. Corey Davis contract is not too bad. Um, so the Jets, man, Jets making some solid moves there.
And I agree with you on the Carl Lawson. Um, Having him in that backfield, having him in that, on that defensive line like that as a DN, man, that's gonna be huge for you know a lot of teams that you know a lot of the teams now, as far as quarterbacks, are doing a lot more um, QB runs and things like that. So to have a fast player, a fast big body like Carl Lawson back there, that's going to play such a huge difference in stopping that and making that QB sit in that pocket.
They're not going to
And
want to sit
I
back there when they see Carl Lawson come through. I'll tell you that right now. And Salah's going to
Yeah,
use him. I'm interested to see how Salah uses him, man. First time head
yeah,
coach, defensive coordinator out of the 49ers. I think he's a great fit. I'm interested to see
yeah.
what this defense is going to look like for sure.
I'm interested to see how well they do with Corey Davis. Um, if uh, I'm drawing a blank now, the QB
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold. I'm sorry. Uh, so I want to see how well Sam Darnold does with Corey Davis because I mean, let's be honest, Tennessee he wasn't bad when he was there. He wasn't that. He was still putting up numbers. I say that very
AJ
loosely.
AJ Brown's the guy. AJ Brown's the guy. I mean, AJ Brown is performing how
Yeah,
he should have performed. He was a top 5 pick. AJ
yeah,
Brown went in the second round. You know,
yeah,
Uh, but he's still, I mean, big body, good hands. He needs it. Sam
yeah.
Darnold needs it. He needs the weapons. Sam Darnold's not a bad quarterback. I hate how everyone's talking down about Sam Darnold. He didn't have great weapons. Protection was mad. They need some help on that O line. You know,
Man, that team has been in the rebuild for I don't even know how long. You know what I mean? It was the whole Mark Sanchez era, and then it was
I mean,
just
you
I don't
bring
even
in
know after
Adam
that.
Gase. I mean,
Yeah,
I
that was not a good move at
he's
all.
terrible,
That whole entire time frame with
terrible.
with him just bad,
I
bad.
don't know what's
Um,
worse, Adam
it didn't
Gase, the
help
head coach,
also.
or Adam Gase, the GM. I don't know which one was worse. It's terrible, terrible move.
I mean, it didn't help throughout that time frame. Also, the Pats were just killing it.
Mhm.
Pats are killing every team they came across, even the Jets. Um, and so it was just, but they're still in the rebuild now, and they will be. Um, and these moves are just solidifying the fact that they are doing what they got to do to try and get better, basically. And fill those voids that they've had for the past few years, especially on defense, um, but more so as well on offense, which is what they need.
But they definitely got better. The Jets definitely got
Yeah.
better, and they have a slew of picks too. So
Mhm.
they're going to continue to get
Um,
better. I like the way they're going.
so another thing that I wanted to talk about here was T.Y. Hilton. So obviously, there's a huge possibility that he's just going to go right back to the Colts. Huge possibility. Uh, he's been with them for forever, and I honestly just see them just giving him a contract, just to give him a contract. But it also depends on what he wants as far as money wise. Um, but where do you think it would be like a good fit for T.Y. Hilton? A player like T.Y. Hilton, he's a big body. He's really great at catching the ball. He's good on the long routes. Um, I mean, what do you think would be a good fit for him on a team?
Baltimore,
Baltimore?
Baltimore, Baltimore. I think they need a bigger receiver. T.Y. Hilton's not huge. I think they needed a bigger receiver for Lamar because Willie Snead didn't cut it. Hollywood Brown is also tiny, but he's a one trick pony. He's just straight down. Um, but Baltimore needs help at wide receiver. And if Ty wants to take a 1 year deal, go with Baltimore, or he can even go to Kansas City. Kansas City's looking for a receiver as well. No, Sammy Watkins is out there being shopped around, or he's shopping around for his new team. He can definitely go to another contender and try to do this thing. And Baltimore and Kansas City are probably the two top teams that I think fits T.Y. Hilton. But the number one team, I mean, it's to go back to Indy. Carson Wentz needs somebody to throw to. You bring in Carson
Hmm.
Wentz, you can't let T.Y. Hilton just walk. Um, I'm sure they're going to want to match any contract that anyone gives him. They have the cap space to do so. I don't think he leaves Indianapolis, and I think him and Pittman are going to be just great. But if he is going to leave, Kansas City or Baltimore for sure.
Yeah, I like those moves for sure. But there is one that I gotta say that I feel he would fit in very well. And it's the fact that they lost one player. Um, the 49ers. They lost Kendrick Bourne. And with that loss, now they need a big body. They need somebody. He's not that big, but you know what I mean. He can. He's versatile. He runs on the ball. He goes on the long routes. All of that, and they need that because Kendrick Bourne was their guy for that. You know what I mean? He was one of their guys besides Brandon Ayuk,
Right,
and
is good.
Brandon Ayuk and um, Debo.
Yeah, Debo Samuel.
So so besides that, I mean, I think that if he was to go there, I think that would be a problem. That would be a great wide receiver core. You got Debo Samuel on one side, Brandon Ayuk on the other. Even if you did a three receiver set, that would be perfect with T.Y. Hilton.
I think it's great. I mean, if they offer him enough money to convince him not to go to Baltimore, or Kansas City for sure. But if you don't go
Yeah,
to Indy and Baltimore's calling or Kansas City's calling, then I'm picking up that phone over the
no,
49ers.
I
I think
agree.
49ers got to be that fourth choice just because of Patty Mahomes, man. You get to play with Patty Mahomes. I think you get to play
Hmm.
with Lamar Jackson. I mean, albeit Lamar Jackson has some accuracy issues or downfield throwing or whatever you have it, but he needs the help as well. And getting a chance there to play for Harbaugh, I mean, why not?
Hmm. Yeah, and then another one that I wanted to ask you about was or just talk about was Kenny Galladay, that big contract that the Giants just gave him 4 years, 72 million with 40 million guaranteed. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah,
That is huge for that offense.
yeah,
First of all, Kenny Gall having a big boy like Kenny Galladay on that offense, man,
yeah. He
that's
got
gonna
his
be
$18 million a year, and I wouldn't put him that high. I think he cashed in, but
yeah.
the Giants had a need. They had a need. There's no excuse now for Danny Dimes. No excuse at all. He's got the weapons. That offense is going to be a problem. That defense was good last year too. So now that
Hmm.
team is pretty dynamic, and they can make a run at this thing in the NFC East. I'll tell you that right now, and it's pretty much wide open. I mean, Dak Prescott went back to the Cowboys, but I mean, they didn't really perform. Their defense didn't really perform to what they should have, and the Eagles, whatever. You look at Washington. Washington's defense is good, and then they bring in Fitzmagic, which I was like, I love Fitzmagic. Don't get me wrong. I want to see that guy win a championship because he's been with so many teams and he
Yeah,
makes things
dude.
happen, man. But um, he's got some weapons now because they did bring in
Yeah.
Curtis Samuel, so he's got some weapons on offense. But the Giants, man, that offense has a chance to be pretty special, and Danny Dimes has to put it together. There's no excuse now.
Yep, I completely agree. That offense this year is going to be a problem. Um, Now that they have that big body, Kenny Galladay, that's going to be awesome to see him out there doing his thing. Um, we try to remain as unbiased as possible,
Yeah.
even though there is some I don't even want to say hatred, but like even though there is some type of little bit of animosity towards
gotta under
Giants
we
fans.
gotta understand something here. I mean, we're New
Yeah.
England fans, and hold on, we're definitely Patriots fans, but football first, man.
Yeah.
Football first, and I like to see what the Giants are doing here. And it's a nice team, and I definitely think they
Hmm.
can compete, man. And it's good to see because the Giants are they're one of the cornerstones in the NFL, man. It's a great franchise. I mean, no matter how you lay it, they beat the Patriots fair and square. And that defensive
Hmm.
front that they put in 2007 against New England in the Super Bowl was just fits, man. I mean, I don't know how you mix in three defensive ends or four defensive ends at the same time on the D line. It was just giving Brady hell. So again, I hate you, but I love you guys. You guys are a great organization, great for football, and it's good to see, man.
Yeah. And another thing with another team, because earlier you said that it's been so nice this past year to see another team rise up from the ashes like the Browns. And it was just so nice to see that, and I appreciated that. And I appreciate the teams that rise up from the lowest levels of just being trash to just coming up and making the playoffs. That was amazing. And one of the teams that I have to applaud is the Arizona Cardinals, bro. The Arizona Cardinals have come from the ashes, bro.
Yeah.
They have risen
Yes.
and they are shining their light and they're saying we are coming
Yeah.
for that ship. And one of the big plays that they are saying that they're coming for that ship is AJ Green. I gotta say, I love the move.
Yeah.
I love that offense. That
Yes.
offense is doing phenomenal. And to add another threat like AJ Green,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they kind of still hold the standard of bringing in the old guys, right? You go to Arizona to retire is what they say.
yep.
But I'll tell you one thing, dude. I mean, bringing in AJ Green and JJ Watt, huge moves, and I got to applaud Arizona. It looks like they're
Hmm.
saying, "Hey, listen, Kyler, we trust you. You're gonna take us to the promised land. We're gonna put these guys around you." So, hey, man, seeing Nuke out there with AJ Green and possibly bringing back one of the best ever in Larry Fitzgerald, and then Christian Kirk and Andy Isabella. That wide receiver core is it's pretty damn good if you ask me. I think my favorite move for me, I'm just one of those guys. Rodney Hudson getting him in the trade from Las Vegas, man. It's huge. They needed a center. He's one of the best centers in the league.
Mhm.
Build the thing from the inside out. Right? You win the game in the trenches. If we haven't learned yet, let's look back at this last Super Bowl against Kansas City and the Buccaneers. They won the game in the trenches.
Mhm.
Kansas City offensive line was not, they had zero chance against that defensive line and linebackers. And bringing in a center like that, it's going to help. And it's going to lift up Kyler Murray's game as well. He's a great center.
Mhm.
So Kyle Murray's quarterback play is going to be even better having great center. They're underrated. Centers are so important to the game. And I love that move. I love all the other moves. AJ Green pretty shocked me. I mean, 1 year, $8 million deal. Um, but you put him in that wide receiving group, man, and Kyler Murray's going to have fun. That air raid offense is going to be exciting to watch, man.
Yeah, bro. I'm telling you, they're keeping up. They're gonna keep up with the best. You're gonna see them this upcoming year if they can mesh together very well, and Kyler Murray is able to pass that ball off, and especially because they got Rodney Hudson, and now they have a big body like AJ Green. I mean, he is a little bit older, yes. He has had injuries in the past, but you know, a lot of times when a player like that ends up going to another team, you do see them excel a little bit more. And the reason for that is it's a different team. They are not, and depending on the actual quarterback, they won't put that receiver in dangerous positions to get hurt and
Well, he
stuff
doesn't
like
have to be
that.
the guy. I mean, Nuke is the guy.
Yeah,
And
yeah, exactly.
Cincinnati, he was the guy. He doesn't have to be the guy here.
Exactly. And that is going to play such a difference because when that double triple team comes on Nuke, guess who's getting the ball next? AJ Green.
Yep.
And that's what's going to happen. And it's going to be awesome to just see this team again just rise from the ashes within this past year or two, just rise up and just come for the playoffs, bro. And it's just so cool and exciting to see it. And again, we said it before, we try to remain very unbiased, but football's football, and that's what we love. We love football in general. And so we don't mind saying, hey, you know what? Good job, Jets. Even though we're Patriots fans, good job, Jets. Good job, Giants. We don't mind saying that. We call it out for what it is, and we just want to enjoy the sport. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Arizona gearing up like this in that division, completely stacked. By the way, that
Mm-hmm.
division's completely stacked. By the way, I think it's probably the toughest division in all of football. I mean, you got the Niners, bring back a healthy Jimmy Garoppolo. It's a good team. You got
Mm-hmm.
Russell Wilson, albeit he's not very happy right now. Still, great quarterback. Okay team.
Yep.
Got DK Metcalf though, and Lockett, so they got some weapons, right? Then you go down to LA, to the Rams. Go get a guy, Matt Stafford. Make that trade. Matt
Mm-hmm.
Stafford is so underrated.
Yo, you are not lying.
He is so
You are
underrated.
not lying.
I mean, I
Oh my
really
god.
do think in that offense he's going to excel, man. I believe the Rams just brought in. I think the Rams just brought in Deshaun Jackson
I
to add
believe
to
so
that wide
too.
receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, he's going to have some weapons to throw to, and Matthew Stafford's a good quarterback, man. So this is going to be a very interesting division to watch for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where this season goes. This past year we had this whole um, coronavirus thing goes on. Yeah, by the way, Deshaun Jackson did go to the Rams.
Goes, I'm telling you, it's gonna. They're building something nice. I mean, hey, listen, I, Djax is a speedster, still has a speed, great hands, so injury prone.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like he gets hurt every single year. If he can stay healthy in that offense, though,
But it is a good move though on their
Oh,
part because
100%.
they did end up losing um Josh Reynolds to the Titans.
Well, I mean, that's fine. Yeah, he could take that spot because Cooper Cup is, Cooper Cup's still a guy.
Hmm.
Um, but it's going to be fun to watch for sure. I think Stafford's going to put up some nice numbers over there in LA.
Yeah, it's exciting to see it, um, especially like when was it? It was 2 years ago, I believe, when they had Nelson Aguilar and Deshaun Jackson on the same team.
Yeah,
That was
yeah, and
super exciting to watch that.
Alshon Jeffrey as well,
Yeah, that's what it was.
and Alshon. Well, let's stay in the NFC real quick, and we're going to leave the best for last here, and we'll go to Tampa Bay, and not Tampa Bay. We'll go to Tampa Bay, and they made some nice moves here in bringing back the guys. Now, this is good moves. They didn't make any flashy moves of getting anybody new, but bringing back the core that made everything happen. Shaquille Barrett, 4 years, 68 million. You got Chris Godwin on the franchise tag, about $18 million. You got Levante David on 2 years, 25 million. You bring Gronk back on 1 year, $8 million deal, and you rework Tom Brady's contract with voidable years. That way, you have some cap space to do so. And man, it's just good moves. The defending world champs are definitely going to be back into the thick of things for sure, and it's exciting to see. Um, Again, Tom Brady gave us the best 20 years that we can ever ask for, and to see him win that Super Bowl on a different team, it didn't sting for me. Not for I don't know about you, but for me, it didn't sting one bit. I'm very happy for the guy. I think he gave us everything. Um, and I would love to see him win another one. I guess unless it's against New England in the Super Bowl, then it ain't happening, Tommy boy. But listen, if it's somebody else, Brady, go do it.
I agree. I agree with that. Um, I gotta say though, out of all of these little moves that they did, as far as keeping the Bucks together and bringing this team back next year, I gotta say the biggest one was Shaquille Barrett, Shaq Barrett. That defense needs him.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's a great move.
He's a big playmaker, and bringing back Shaq Barrett for 4 years, 68 million was by far the biggest, the best deal that they made to include the Chris Godwin franchise tag, which Chris Godwin is great. Do not get me wrong. He is great. He's fast. He's speedy. He's good on the long routes. He's
Got
also good on the
hands.
short routes. Yeah, he's got hands. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But could they survive without Chris Godwin? Yeah,
Yeah,
they could. But Shaq Barrett on that defense, you need that guy.
right.
You need that big body. And
100%.
Shaq Barrett is gonna this year is gonna put some steam on offenses, and he's really gonna put that pressure on a lot of offenses next year.
There's
Um,
still some moves to make, though. They're trying to bring back Antonio Brown and Leonard Fournette. Antonio Brown right now is being heavily recruited by Russell Wilson to go join him in Seattle. And I think that's a great move
yeah,
if he does, just because you got Lockett, you put Antonio Brown in the mix with DK Metcalf and Lockett. I mean that offense is it's definitely scary. I AB has some options here, and I think he'd rather stay with Tom Brady. He loves Tom Brady. Um, but even
uh,
if he went to Baltimore, which they need a receiver, wouldn't be too bad either to go play with his cousin over there in Baltimore. Uh, Still some moves to make for Tampa Bay. They still need that running back. I mean, if they bring back Fournette, fantastic. He's being recruited also over to the Seahawks. Um, if he does move on, though, does Tom Brady go ahead and whisper the GM's ear and say, "Hey, that guy James White, that guy Sweet Feet from Florida, bring him down to Tampa Bay. Let's make another run at these things because that guy, he's underrated. I don't understand why he's not getting more calls than he did. He should have won that MVP in the Super Bowl. Um, against the Falcons. But he's a guy that they should go after if Fournette leaves. I'll tell you that right now. That's just my opinion.
No, yeah, I can agree with that because James White again, he was he's a fast and so versatile running back, and we all know how Tom plays. Tom has always played a dink and dunk game, and having a fast running back that can run routes and can catch and can also run the ball when needed. That's what he likes. That's what's needed. And he needs to be able to have that check down as quickly as possible.
He needs that third down back, man.
And um, what I noticed was, which is why I'm starting to think that they might not bring back Fournette because he missed crucial, crucial first downs off of passes that he should have caught. He missed some crucial ones that should have been caught, and they weren't. And they need someone more reliable. Now, Leonard Fournette is a great back. Don't get me wrong, he's a great back. But as far as reliability on that third down when it comes to the passing, I don't think he's that guy.
I'll
And
take
that,
James White all day. I mean,
and
he's proven it.
that's what Tom wants because I mean he's good at what he does.
I
You know
mean,
what I
I mean,
mean?
Fournette had a game in the Super Bowl. I'll tell you that.
Yes, he did.
I
He
mean, in the
did.
big moments, he showed up.
Yep.
But I'm honestly, if you replace Leonard Fournette with James White, I mean, you're not losing much here,
Nope.
right? Ideally, you want to bring your guy back. If Fournette's your guy, if Lenny is your guy, bring him back. If he decides to go elsewhere, give James White a call.
I
I'm
agree.
sure he'll love to come back down to Florida. I mean, he's a Florida guy.
You're
He's
right,
Florida.
man. You're right, dude. Um, Besides that, anything else you want to talk about for the good of the order?
I don't want to get too deep into this topic. I'm going to talk about it once, and I really don't want to talk about it again until there's more resolution to it. So let's dip our toes a little bit into Deshaun Watson here, and the situation is muddy, and um, I want to see more details. At first, I was thinking, hey, the guy's been requesting a trade, wants out, wants out, wants out. Hasn't gone anywhere. They don't want to trade him. They don't want to let him go. He wants out. Then these reports start coming out, and now there is 12 women, okay, that have lawsuits against Sean Watson. There's a total of 22 women. And at first, I was like, hey, with the first one, I was like, hey, maybe Texans are just throwing some laundry out there to try to make him stay, diminish his value completely, and he can't go anywhere, right? 22 women. This is something to think about. Step back, step back as a fan from football, and just be a human. And be like, let's watch how this plays out. And I mean, if the guy's guilty, he's guilty, and we have to take care of people, and women are very important,
Mm-hmm.
and this is a league where more women are coming into great coaches, women coaches and referees, and we want to continue to see that. Um, and we don't want for them to get discouraged in joining a league. And I think this is something that we have to pay a close eye to. But again, I don't want to get too far deep into it. I just wanted to give my thoughts real quick. I don't want to uh, talk about this much um, until there's some resolution. But I just wanted to give my 2 cents to that situation.
I agree with you. We live in a day and age now where um, women have become more involved in a lot of sports that were mainly men, and we see it in
in almost everyday life. I mean, even when I was in high school and I used to wrestle, I wrestled a woman while I was in high school, and that was just, again, females are coming in, and the last thing that we want to do is discourage.
It's
But
great to see.
not to obviously the same thing. I don't want to get too involved until we hear more details on what's going on with Deshaun Watson. Um, but I know that you know with this type of situation, we all have to be sensitive to what's going on. And we have to realize again that yes, he's a player, and yes, there's a team, but we are all, at the end of the day, we all have families, we all have people that we have to go back home to. And stuff like this shouldn't happen, and it does. But again, we're not I don't want to persecute him for something without hearing all of the details and hearing what really happened. Um, but I just know for me, in my house and my family, um, women, I appreciate women. I appreciate my wife. I appreciate my family, um, and as well as I'm sure you do. So, you know, it's just one of those things that at the end of the day, we're people and we need to treat people with respect.
100%. 100% agree.
You know. So, with that being
But
said,
last thing, and we'll end it right here. The next Patriots move. What is it?
ooh,
You got 5 seconds.
oh, no, don't do this to me. Um, Quarterback.
So they draft the quarterback.
I'm saying a quarterback.
Free agency or draft?
Draft.
Drafts. Okay.
I'm saying they bring in a freshie in, a rookie. They bring a rookie in and they mold him. And
Okay.
they mold him how they want him. I personally think that.
Okay. Okay. For me, I think they're going running back. They might get a defensive tackle in free agency. They're not done making moves. That's the next move I think they make. And we'll leave it at that. Thanks for joining the show today and have a good one.
Like, comment, subscribe, or else we'll find you.